Greetings, my fellow Wordanites. My name is Sandra Maddix, or to some, Sister Maddix. Because it's Black History Month, I was asked to give a little background and history of my high school alma mater, Crispus Attucks High School of Indianapolis, Indiana, where I attended from 1960 to 1964. Attucks is still located on the corner of 12th and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Street, and I'm proud to say that it was added to the National Register of Historical Places in 1989. Attucks High School was built in 1927 for the sole purpose of segregating black high school students from the white students. Indianapolis was largely a segregated city anyway, and at that time all black high school students were attending Manual, Tech, and Shortridge. However, the school board members came up with the novel idea of building a school for black high school age students only. The black community really opposed this idea, but as you may imagine, they did not have any say-so in this matter. In 1924, members of the Ku Klux Klan, along with local and state officials, the Klansmen organization, which controlled the mayor's office and city county council, went ahead, along with the segregationist community, and appropriated funds to build Attucks High School for black students. The NAACP filed a lawsuit stating that the students would not receive an equal education in a separate school. Sadly, the NAACP lost the suit. Now listen to this. The school board had the audacity to want to name the school Thomas Jefferson High School. You think? The black community united and lobbied to name the school after a notable black historical figure, Crispus Attucks, a runaway slave who, by the way, who was never captured. He was the first man to die in the cause of freedom in the American Revolution. Time will not permit me to go into details of how Attucks was killed, so I invite you to look up the story of the Boston Massacre of 1770. Some might think when you hear the school name Attucks that it is noted only for basketball, which it was. But besides that, we had top-notch black teachers with bachelor's, master's, and doctorate degrees. Notable alumni that attended Attucks included physicians and surgeons, scientists, college professors, a well-known artist, a congresswoman, several authors, a world light heavyweight champion, an Olympian, an NBA Hall of Famer, musicians, and not one but two Tuskegee Airmen, Charles DeBow and Lewis Hill, who was the patient of my husband, Dr. Michael Maddox. In 1981, the IPS administration considered closing Attucks due to the closing of other high schools, as well as a decline in Attucks' enrollment. A task force was formed to keep it open as a high school, but to no avail. It closed, and the attending seniors, which were my daughter was the senior at the time at Attucks, were sent to Washington High School to finish their senior year and to graduate. And those seniors were heartbroken. Attucks was converted from a high school to a junior high in 1986 and became a middle school in 1993. Presently, it is a medical magnet school designed for those students who are interested in pursuing careers in the medical profession. I love my high school alma mater. I was very active in extracurricular activities. I was president of the Girls Choral Ensemble, the high school choir, a writer for the school newspaper, the Booster Club, and the French Club, to name a few. I was also a majorette, can you believe that? I was an Attucks Tiger for sure, as the tiger was our school mascot. Ending my history presentation, I will say the words to our school song. It goes like this. Attucks, our mater, how we love and worship thee. We will fight for Daryl Attucks to show our loyalty. Green and gold are colors. We will raft them to the skies. We will fight, 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 and pull with all our might for dear Addicts High. Thank you for listening to a bit of history of Crispus Attucks High School, and maybe one day you can visit our museum, which is on the grounds of Attucks, just behind the school. Thank you and God bless.
Hello, my name is Lisa McLuhan Snorton, and for our Indiana Black History Spotlight for Solid Word Bible Church, I'm presenting my grandfather, Homer Lee McLuhan. My grandfather was born May 3rd, 1896, in Bowling Green, Kentucky. He passed away here in Indianapolis, Indiana, January 6, 1988. He was the second to the last child born to previously enslaved parents. My grandfather's parents' names were Henry and Sarah McLuhan, who were enslaved until 1868 in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Even though the Emancipation Proclamation of 1863 had occurred, and Juneteenth, which was June 19, 1865, they were still enslaved to their masters. Henry's father, Richard, was sold several times. His last name was Taylor, then sold to a family named Jones, and then finally to a family named McLuhan. The McLuhans migrated from Ireland to the United States, settling in Maryland, migrating to Virginia, and then some of the family settled in Kentucky. My grandfather did not know his older 4 siblings because they were taken away from his mother at birth. Her last 8 children were kept, and she was able to name them. My grandfather married at a young age of 18 and became a widower at age 21. He joined the Army and is a veteran of World War I. At age 22, he was discharged in 1918. Family rumor has it, at this time in 1918, he was forced to leave Bowling Green, Kentucky with his brothers because of flirting with a Caucasian young woman. Arriving in Indianapolis, Indiana in 1919, he was employed at the age of 23 at the Link Belt Engineering Company. There he worked 42 years, retiring in 1961. During the early years, 1922, he remarried to Rosina Dotson, and from that union, 12 children were born. In 1928, Homer Lee McLuhan was ordained deacon at Mount Carmel Baptist Church, which was located at East 25th Street, Indianapolis, Indiana. Thank you so much for viewing. God bless.
Hello. This video is to introduce you to our family's contribution to the development and progress of our city, Indianapolis, Indiana. James Butler Campbell, Jr. In 1918, my father, James Butler Campbell, Jr., joined the utility company, the Indianapolis Water Company, from which all of Indianapolis received their water service at that time. They were merged with what we know today as the Citizens Energy Group in August of 2011. At the time of his retirement, according to the company's own press release, his service record was the longest at the company at that time. The following is an excerpt from the Campbell Family Reunion book of 1989. Daddy was a hard worker. He was employed at the Indianapolis Water Company for 48 years. His expertise on the job was amazing. We have heard people who worked at the water company say that our father knows where every water main in the city of Indianapolis is located. Daddy started out as a water boy, and at the time of his retirement 48 years later, he was chief equipment operator in the distribution department. During his early years at the water company, the ditches were dug and the pipes were laid by hand. There was no union to protect the rights of the workers. When the weather was extremely cold, or there was too much snow or rain, or the men were physically unable to work, they did not get paid. No work, no pay. My father married a couple of years after joining the water company. Together, he and my mother, they had 11 children, 9 of whom grew to be adults. Just think about that challenge. My father never wanted his sons to work at the water company, and none of them did. But his grandchildren have broken that trend. In 2023, a grandchild retired from the company, receiving the Jefferson Award for service to the community, representing Citizens Energy Group. My own son just recently came on board. And for some time, there has been 3 other great-grandchildren working successfully and productively for the company. Mary Catherine Crenshaw. 2 years after being hired by Indianapolis Water Company, my father married Mary Catherine Crenshaw. My mother, her mother, Mary Catherine Crenshaw, Catherine with a C, was working at the Indianapolis bus station garage, cleaning buses at the end of the workday. This is the historic beginning of Indigo, who is the company that's putting in all these bus lines around the city, the red line, the blue line, the purple line. Grandma was a very special lady. In the early 1920s, she was negotiating the purchase of a house in the all-white Brightwood neighborhood. She did this alone without the assistance of her husband or his presence. He was my grandfather. Everything went well until the move-in. You can see from her picture that what the situation was. They didn't realize she wasn't white until she moved in with her little brown husband and her children of various shades of brown. We don't know for sure who arranged it, but the Ku Klux Klan burned a cross in her front yard. The aftermath could have been worse, but because of poor and slow communication, the men of the slum area known as Pat Ward's Bottoms didn't get the word in time to respond on her behalf. They told my grandma that if she ever had any more trouble, to not call the police, but to call them. One doesn't usually associate cross burning and the KKK with Indiana, but during that time, Indiana was very racist. Our governor of Indiana at that time was high up in the KKK. His name was D.C. Stevenson, and he was no goodnik. He eventually went to prison for murdering his girlfriend. As large as our family is, and as old as our family is, it is amazing how many places throughout this city where we have been a part, whether private, city, state, or federal, from the water company to the post office. Our prayer is that these brief videos will prompt many of you, especially our youth, to recognize the contribution that we as blacks have made throughout the centuries all over the world. Not only have we been blessed by God, but we ourselves have been a blessing. Let God use you.